And there's actually a question from Dana Oshiro also on Facebook asking about trends and how the fashion trends are being determined these days, where street fashion is taking a larger role in moving into more mainstream fashion, and it's not just the design houses that are necessarily dictating or mandating the way that fashion goes. So
I think that was true. That was the street fashion influence was true in the 80s and 90s. I think now celebrities have the biggest influence. Like if you see, you know, doesn't matter who it is, Kim Kardashian, Lindsay Lohan, going into court, going into Starbucks, wearing X, Y, or Z.
Coming out of rehab.
Yeah, people like that white dress that Lindsay wore to court. Really, I mean, it was a stretchy, long-sleeved white dress. It wasn't really so revolutionary, but you know, that's become this huge thing. So celebrities now have the big influence, I think. Street fashion, everybody kind of dresses a la street fashion now. People, you know, I think that's something that, like someone like Jean-Paul Gaultier used to come to New York or London and get ideas from the street, or in Japan in the 80s and 90s. I think now, though, I don't know if that happens so much. Maybe, you know, the Brooklyn hipster look, but
it doesn't happen as often as it used to.
No,
for sure.
Yeah,
and that's sort of been the fun part of the business. I think designers used to look at what people were wearing around the world, or what the trends would have been. You know, we did have a whole India thing going on for a while, right?
Yeah.
And so. Pass through. And a question from Twitter. Very excited about that. What role or responsibility do you think fashion has to represent real-world individuals instead of the perfect Chelsea boy?
I don't think fashion has any responsibility to be rational, healthy, or logical. I think, you know, people sometimes call me and they say, I'm so horrified by your ads, the girl looks so thin and da-da-da-da-da. And what I tell them is something they really don't want to hear, but the reality is fashion is not a place that you should look for healthy role models or normalcy or some kind of median goal that you should strive for in any way, shape, or form. Fashion is perverse. Fashion is extreme. Fashion has its own energy. You know, in the Elizabethan times, women wore corsets with wooden slats in them. You know, people wore neck corsets. Marie Antoinette had huge hairdos with mice living in them. Like, fashion is unhealthy and bizarre and perverse. So don't look there. Like, a better place to look is sports. If you want healthy role models for your kids. You
Michael Vick.
But looking at fashion, yeah, it's not consistently a good place to look, but it's better than looking at fashion, because fashion is strange. Fashion, when it's really fashion, is strange, you know, and it has its own energy. If you look at the history of fashion, like the new look in the 50s, you know, people are just coming out of the war. What do they wear? These unbelievable whalebone things that are parodies of 19th century corsetry. Like, it's all doesn't, you know, it's not no. It's fabulous, but it has like art. You don't look at art to provide you with solid, healthy ideas for living, you know.
Yeah, you know, and I think that it's different today because people used to follow the trends and everybody would climb on board. And now I think that there is so much diversity because people are more confident. They used to be rather insecure, so they would follow. And there is so much information, we were talking about that earlier, that any person can go online and learn anything and everything about fashion, what's available, at what price, and where to get it. And it's almost overwhelming. And there's a trend today where individuals are actually looking for stylists on their own to edit all this information. But at the same time, people are a lot more individual and they're not following the trends as much, which makes it harder for us and I think harder for the designers.
So how do you go about trying to mitigate that? What are some of the things that
well, fortunately for you, I think women, even though it's a very free time and you can wear whatever you want, and there's really no rules anymore. There's no such thing as a faux pas. Women retained, much to my surprise, a sort of masochistic, self-critical side to women that, like, I'll say to women, listen, there are no rules, you can wear whatever you want. And, you know, women tend to you hear them say, well, she looks terrible, don't you think? And I'll say, well, really? Does she? But it always comes from a woman. Women tend to revert to that place of wanting rules. And yeah, they do. And I don't quite understand it, because they're being set free, because you are all free. You can wear whatever you want. Like, I just got a call from a journalist at the time saying, what happens when you show up at a party and you've wore a cocktail dress and everybody else is in jeans? Like, and I think, hello, who cares? But like, when I remember we had a lunch once at Barney's, and this girl wore she wore an evening dress and a tiara just because she felt like it. And all the women at the lunch were like saying, isn't it ridiculous? Look, she's very overdressed. And all the men were like, how hilarious. She looks great. So I think women need to finally set themselves free from being masochistic and self-critical, because they still are women are very self-critical today. Like, look at what they go through cosmetically. It's unbelievable. I never thought I'd live in a universe.
We're getting older. There's a lot of us that are in the older category, you know.
Everybody used to get older and think, okay, I'm getting older. Like, when I was young, I was really pretty. And I had a great body and da-da-da. I'm 59. It's different. You know, like, I never thought I would live in a world where people were so self-critical and so averse to aging. It's shocking to me. Discuss. I get it. If you're a performer, you have to be concerned about how you look because you're on camera. But I think everybody now has some delusional identification with celebrity, so that they think, oh, well, Nicole Kidman's doing this to her face, so I need to. And I just think, I don't know, I know I'm a one-man band in this regard, but I remember with my mom was like, even though we were dirt poor, she was super glamorous, she was always done up, and she looked very Lana Turner, you know, like actually very 40s. Like Betty Davis in Now Voyager, that kind of look. She had that hair that went up, very 40s. She was super done up. And then as she got older, her face, like, she became like, she looked like a red Indian, like kind of like an American Indian, sort of like Golda Meir meets American Indian. Like, her face had the most extraordinary character to it, like sort of Quentin Crisp. She looked very like Quentin Crisp. Actually, she looked like Quentin Crisp in that movie with Tilda Swinton, Orlando. Oh. When my sister and I saw it, we were just screaming, because it was like watching. But her face was actually extraordinary as she got older. And like I never thought I would live in a world where people had this fear of aging and not accepting. Like, how long do you get to look like Angelina Jolie? Until you're 90? Like,
some of us never get to look like Angelina Jolie.
I don't understand.
Skip that.
I could see,
I know, I skipped that part somehow.
You know, because you like buying clothes, adorning yourself, like Louise Nevelson, you know, crazy looking, eccentric older woman with big fur hats and lashes. She looked amazing into old age, but it was a function of an innate sort of style. It wasn't this masochistic thing. And I know that I'm in the minority and it's a free country. I just am surprised that, especially my sister was part of the women's liberation movement. She was one of the Greenham Common girls. It was about burning your bra. It was about accepting yourself. It wasn't about like injecting your face and not accepting yourself and not accepting the nature and biology of aging, which to me, I don't know, I'm just surprised that that's the world that we live in. And I'm very glad that you have a living out of it. That's important.
Well, cosmetics is really, we're selling hopes and dreams and promises. Correct. That's what that business is about, and it happens to be an enormous business.